let's talk about football now. And it has to be about the Nigeria Premier Football League. And this is where I invite Pius Ahamba also. He's joining us. He's currently in the UK. Pius, thank you for joining the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show again.
Yeah, thank you very much. Before I get to the NPFL stories, let's talk about the weather. What is it like over there in the UK?
Well, it's quite cold this morning. Early this morning, we're at 3 degrees. Wow. In some other places, they are at 1, some other places -1. So quite cold. I'm indoors, so I mean, I'm not really feeling it anyways.
All right. And talking about ice cold, Remo Stars are keeping it ice cold at the top of the Nigeria Premier Football League, maintaining their 8-point grip at the top of the 2024-2025 table, and completed a double over Kano Pillars this season with a nervy 2-1 win in Ikenne on Saturday. Sikiru, Alimi and Abubakar Babawo netted for the Sky Blue Stars in the first half, while Abba Adam pulled one back for the visitors in the first 45 minutes as well. Despite the late pressure from the visitors, Remo Stars held on to their 2-1 win, completing a double over Kano Pillars for the first time in their history, and also winning 6 straight games for the first time in the Nigeria Premier Football League as well. Pius, Remo Stars have been quite pious this season, but now they look like they are really ready to go all guns blazing.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at the last 2-3 seasons of Remo Stars, you would look at that particular trajectory, and then you would notice the fact that they've been there. They've been consistent in doing that. I mean, finishing second back-to-back seasons, a lot of persons would question the manager as to the reason why he's not even winning the league this season. Because if you take a look at the season when he traveled abroad and went for his course in Portugal, Abubakar was the man who was actually having it good with Remo Stars. But he came back, and then Remo Stars actually finished second that season. Then when he came back, a lot of us were expecting him to do better than Abubakar. And ever since then, he has been able to win the league. Hopefully, this season is able to win the league. Their consistency has been very, very good. And if you take a look at their signings, they've been signing really, really good players also. Players who can fit into the system of Daniel Ogumodede, which is a good one for the manager. They're actually my top pick to win the league this season, followed by Rivers United. And the consistency at which they have been going about their games is winning games at home. I mean, their game against their last game against Abia Warrior before that of Kano Pillars was actually one that was quite scary for some persons who support the club, because at some point they were even struggling to find their feet in that particular game against Kano Pillars. Another tough game. I was surprised as to how they played the second 45 minutes of yesterday's game, because for a team that created a lot of chances in the first half, in the second 45 minutes, they didn't create much. Kano Pillars actually took the game to them in the second 45 minutes, but they were able to keep their composure, and of course they kept their steeds. They were able to get off 3 points, which is what matters at the end of the day.
Right. Timilai, what do you make of that? Because, I mean, Remo Stars look like they are ready and finally ready to win the NPFL title.
Ready they can be, but they've shown us glimpses of, a true champion this season. And I think we can all take a page out of the book of Remo Stars, how they've gone from that's a newly promoted side to contending for the NPFL title. And I think it is evident that the same thing that Pius said, you look at the trajectory in which Remo Stars, they are going from Gubota in its 4th season with Remo Stars back into the NPFL in that abridged league format. They finished in the top 2. Yes, you can also have discussed about the following 2 seasons where they finished the second. But this season, I think Daniel Ogumodede has always said that, they are not going to win the title, but they should trust the process and also see how things can go. That every season they want to get better than they did last season. So for 2 seasons now, they finished second. Will this be the season Remo Stars will win the NPFL title? Well, that's still a question to be answered till the end of the season, because for them, they have 15 more games to play. While Shooting Stars, who won yesterday, they have a game in hand. And of course, for Shooting Stars against Kwara United, that's the game in hand. I was in the stadium yesterday and I saw Shooting Stars victory. That was over their opponents yesterday, and it was a great one for Shooting Stars, despite the pressure that's playing against the Benin Arsenal, Bendel Insurance. They feel that's held on their ground to get the winning goal, which definitely was scored by a debutant, Godwin Odibo. And then for Shooting Stars also, if they can keep up with their momentum, in 8 games now, they've only dropped points once, and that was that game against Plateau United last weekend. And they also kept 7 clean sheets, conceding just once and scoring 11 goals. So you can tell that the NPFL title, maybe it's a 2-horse race at this point, and not truly confirmed. But for Pius, he also made mention of Rivers United. Rivers United are under the guidance of Philippe George. And we know how hot and cold they've blown this season. Inconsistency has mad that Rivers United's performance this season. The same can be said about all of this side. But when it was important, Remo Stars and Shooting Stars, they started getting that result and they didn't want to draw points. But Rivers United, can they win 5 games at a stretch? What Shooting Stars and Remo Stars they've done this season, I don't think that would be achieved by Rivers United. But for the NPFL title, Remo Stars and Shooting Stars are both a Southwestern team. Let's see how it can go down until the end of the season. But for me, based in Ibadan, I would go for Shooting Stars because I want to see the Oluyole Warriors lift the NPFL title for the first time in over 20 years.
Right. A couple of fans also look forward to seeing Ibadan, the Ibadan fans, most especially wanting Shooting Stars to win the Nigeria Premier Football League, especially one of my producers right here at News Central wanting Shooting Stars to win. But it is 8 points between Remo Stars and Shooting Stars. But let's see how it goes But something seems to be working for Remo Stars, and they look like they're on the pathway to major success, not just in Nigeria and also on the continent. Because if you take a look at the facilities, they look like a club who are really, really investing in football matters. Pius.
Yeah. Was that for me?
Yeah, of course, for you, Pius.
Yeah, for Remo Stars, I mean, if you follow football keenly, especially not even Remo Stars, football in Ogun State generally, you will notice that there is a section of Ogun State, especially fans based in Ikenne, Shagamu, that's Remo Aziz. They actually tend to love football so much. So when Shoname brought that a particular huge facility to Ikenne, it was accepted by everybody. I was born in Ogun State. I lived all my life in Shagamu. I was born in Shagamu. So I'm very, very close to Ikenne, and that's why I actually, have a soft spot for the club. It is a club that connects with the people around, and of course, it's even going beyond Ikenne. It's even going beyond Ogun State. It is not transcendent because if you take a look at some of the games they even play, national team games, they are taking some of these games to Ikenne. That's because of the facility they have there. For me, a lover of the Nigeria Premier Football League, a lover of football in Nigeria, I want to see a private-owned club win the league. It is not for any sentimental reason, but because I want that point to be proven that a private owner, a private-owned club can actually. I mean, I remember when Remo Stars Sporting came into the league. They came into the league that same year. MFMFC came to the league. I think that was in 2016, 2015, if I'm still correct. That season they got relegated. They went back, started doing their own work again. MFM, on the other hand, finished second behind Plateau United, went on the continent, couldn't do well. But Remo Stars went back, went to relegation, started fighting their way back to the NPFL again. So, I mean, they've been fighting, the consistency has been there. And that's why I think, in the last 2 seasons, if you take a look at them, they don't even sign anyhow players. They sign players who can fit into the system. And that's for me, that's a club that knows what they want and they are going for. And some of the academy players are also doing well. Look at the projects. They also have the young team. So they also do well. Now we have Remo Stars ladies who are also doing well in the league. So this is a project that is already yielding profits. If I will use that word for the owner, even though the owner will tell you he's not making money from the Nigeria Premier Football League, but of course for the transfer of players and all whatnot, it is already yielding results. And this will also give other private investors the idea that they can also make something out of this thing. We also see some of the private investors starting to key into the system because of what Remo Stars. I think it's a template everybody will love to emulate. And that's why anytime I have the opportunity to visit Ikenne, to visit Ogun State or any state around, I love to go visit Kuleshon. I mean, of course, the few times I've spoken with him, I've always told him this is something that is already yielding results. And sometimes you want to give up. Sometimes I've actually spoken with him and like, this thing, but the consistency has been there. And they also have a manager in Dan Ogumodede who also understands the philosophy of football. I mean, he went to Portugal a few years ago. I went to study. The few times I've spoken with him too, you understand that he's a manager. If you have the conversation with Dan Ogumodede, you probably don't want to leave the table. He wants to talk about football, he wants to talk about the philosophy of football. This is a man that understands. So if you have coaches like that, and it's not even surprising that he's now an star manager to the Super Eagles. So, I mean, they are growing. You see the players growing, the manager growing, the club growing. It is a system that is working. And if we have other clubs doing the same thing, probably we'll have a thriving system in Nigeria Premier Football. That's my reason why I wanted to win the league, by the way.
Right. Timile, is this what Nigerian football should be like when it comes to club football? Is this what we should be looking forward to? Because Remo Stars seem to have set the pathway and they are top of the table. It means that if you put in the work, you definitely the results will definitely come.
For Remo Stars, I would say since their promotion back, I think that was the year 2021. That season, Pius was also discussing. Remember, Remo Stars came back. MFM got relegated that same season. Remo Stars came back into the top flight. So I look at it. We can all look at the Remo Stars. They have set the standard. And I think I was here weeks ago also discussing about how the NPFL and most club sites in the NPFL are government-oriented. How many private investors do we have in the Nigeria Premier Football League? You can name almost all the club sites in the NPFL. Almost all of them belong to the club, to the government. And then you look at these things. So these are one of the things, or the taxes and all of it, the benefits that they are going to get at the end of the day. Why all these private investors keep moving back from Nigerian football. It's not that they don't want to invest in Nigerian football. They want to, but the fear of the unknown is what is holding them back. But I want to believe, and I just hope that some individuals that can take the risk, just like Ikenne Shoname, he has done, and they are going to yield a positive result from their investment within Nigerian football. It's not necessarily that an NPFL club side. You know, you can start from the grassroots as well, where you develop stars, and then there's going to be a way that you integrate them into the social world of football. But let's cross our fingers and see how things can also get better for everyone across board in Nigerian football.
All right, looking forward to see who the eventual champions will be in the NPFL. Will it be Remo Stars? Will it be Rivers United? Will it be Shooting Stars? Will Enyimba come from nowhere to win the title? We still have a long way to go in the Nigeria Premier Football League.